bloody shocked.
The Oscars are coming soon, the nominations are out, so these are my final predictions of the year. Who's going to win? It's not like I care. I don't care about anything. You've hurt me so much. Same old pals and chums. I base my predictions on the usual stuff, sure. Previous nominations, Oscar-y traits, general vibes, but I try to focus less on stats and more around who is voting. I brought Academy voters down to 5 relative archetypes who each tend to like and dislike certain things. The olds like safe and traditional movies that are feel-good. Cheerleaders are industry socialites who like rooting on one of their own. Popcorn munchers are normies who like movies that are accessible and talked about. Messengers value movies most for what they represent. And art house snobs like the real eccentric biz. The Academy is also made up of several smaller branches, divided by industry and specialties. For some categories, like Best Picture, everyone votes, but for most categories, only their respective branches vote, like acting, screenplay, costume, editing. That is the Oscars' main gimmick, like how the BAFTAs have a jury, the Critics' Choice is made up of exclusively critics, and the Golden Globes voters are bribed. And we will try to understand how each branch typically behaves as we get into them. First, let's go into the topmost awards and build our way up to picture. I know it's a weird ordering, but bear with me. The acting branch is the biggest branch within the Academy, and this is where the more stereotypical voters come from, so a lot of olds and cheerleaders. The nominees for Best Actor are Austin Butler from Elvis, Colin Farrell from The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser from The Whale, Paul Mescal from Aftersun, and Bill Nye from Living. This is a particularly tough category, so let's root out the easy ones right away. It's not going to be Paul Mescal, and it's not going to be Bill Nye. Once again, we're dealing with a lot of olds and cheerleaders, so this branch is not going to go out of their way to consider an obscure and artsy movie like Living or Aftersun. This leaves us with Farrell, Fraser, and Butler, and I can see either of them taking it. What does the acting branch like? Well, if they're not going out of their way to see obscure, artsy movies, that explains why the trophy has gone to an actor from a Best Picture nominated movie for the past 12 years. Austin Butler and Colin Farrell are both from Best Picture nominated movies. Sorry, Fraser. Olds and cheerleaders are especially attracted to strong narratives, meta reasons to vote for someone, whether it is because they really gave themselves to the role, or because they were in the game for a long time and are overdue. Austin Butler famously immersed himself into his role, and Brendan Fraser has a comeback narrative. Colin Farrell doesn't have much of a narrative though. The acting branch favors older, experienced actors who have been in the game for a long time. This award is often just as much about who has paid their dues over who was the best performer. I know, I hate it too. Austin Butler is a brand new performer, so that sucks for him. Fraser and Farrell are considered overdue. Lastly, the type of performance matters a lot. The acting branch likes movies that let the noms show off. Austin Butler stars as a real-life figure. Elvis Presley in a movie all about him, that's a definite yes. Brendan Fraser does play a fictional character, but the movie is a tense and emotional drama all about his character. That is also a yes. Colin Farrell would have my vote, but it is a subtler performance with less screen time. Banshees is more about the full cast than it is about him. I've rallied up the points and Farrell is eliminated, leaving Butler and Fraser with a tie. So what's stronger? Best Picture noms or experience? I don't know? This reminds me a bit of the 2021 ceremony. Chadwick Boseman had passed away and was considered the frontrunner to win Best Actor for his performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom over Anthony Hopkins from The Father. Boseman had the strongest possible narrative, but it still went to Hopkins. The Father was nominated for Best Picture, but Ma Rainey's was not. If narrative was not enough for Boseman, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for Fraser either. so I am going to still predict Butler. For each of these categories, I'm also going to tell you who would be my personal pick to win this award, regardless of who is nominated. With that said, I would still go for Colin Farrell from Banshees. The nominees for Best Supporting Actor are Brendan Gleeson from The Banshees of Inisherin, Judd Hirsch from The Fabelmans, Brian Tyree Henry from Causeway, Barry Keoghan from The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I am happy to report that Supporting Actor is probably the only easy top-of-the-line award to predict this year. It's going to be Ke Huy Quan. It's not even close. I guess Barry Keoghan did win the BAFTA, so he seems to be the runner-up, but I'm not all that concerned for Ke Huy Quan. I'm not concerned at all. He is my pick to win too. The nominees for Best Actress are Ana de Armas from Blonde, Cate Blanchett from Tar, Andrea Riseborough from To Leslie, Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere. We're back to the difficult stuff now. It is really between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh. Now that Danielle Deadwyler and Viola Davis are out, there is no other competition, and I gotta level with you, I have no idea. Let's go back to the table. Both are from Best Picture nominated films. Yeoh has the narrative as a drastically overdue actress in her career-defining role, and that a non-white actress has not won since almost the year I was born probably adds to the narrative. Both have been in the game for a long time, and Blanchett gets to show off in her movie a lot. Another tie, why do I even do this table thing? I'm actually gonna go with whatever the Screen Actors Guild picks, because they and the BAFTAs have a lot of overlap, but the BAFTAs were never gonna go for Yeoh anyway, so I feel like taking the easy way out. Michelle Yeoh won the SAG, that's what I needed to know. I'm gonna predict Michelle Yeoh. It sure is great when other people make the tough decisions for me. To me, personally, it is also tightly between Blanchett and Yeoh, and a legitimately difficult decision, but I really do have to lean Yeoh. The nominees for Best Supporting Actors are Angela Bassett from Wakanda Forever, Hong Chau from The Whale, Kerry Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Things have simplified since my last video, since we actually have nominations now. But has it simplified, really? I think it's between Angela Bassett from Wakanda Forever, who has turned out to be the frontrunner despite my initial doubts, whoops, and Kerry Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin, who was my original winning pick. All clear signs point initially toward Angela Bassett. She won the Golden Globe, she won the Critics' Choice, a bunch of other things I'm pretty sure. Kerry Condon did, however, win the BAFTA, and not only is she from a Best Picture nominated movie, but she plays a much bigger role in her movie. It's tough, so I will once again wait for the SAG! What the fuck? Apparently it is a 3-horse race now. Whoop-de-doo. I feel inclined to put Method second for this category, because I have a really strong hunch about Kerry Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin. It is entirely possible that The Banshees of Inisherin ends tonight empty-handed. It's important to remember that the Oscars voters are probably not thinking through the whole matrix of who is and who is not going to get awarded. But I do think, considering the massive popularity of Banshees, which is already an acting-heavy movie, that this would give Condon a leg up. She gives the acting branch a bunch of goodies they like, screaming, crying, good old traditional acting. Bassett does too, but for a much shorter length of time, and Jamie Lee Curtis is more of a comedic side performance, not the kind that typically wins. Though Curtis's speech was top tier, so she could ride enough momentum for Oscars night. I could also see Stephanie Hsu working up some last-minute momentum, and she has my vote. That would be epic, but comparatively unlikely. The nominees for Best Original Screenplay are The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. This is one of 2 categories that I predicted 5 for 5 in my last video, and I think that streak is going to continue. Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to narrowly win out over The Banshees of Inisherin. When the nominees are, all else considered, tied and competitive, I think the writer's branch tends to favor the best story over the best written screenplay, and I think this is the case here as well. Banshees and Yeoh are about even in acclaim, but while Banshees is the tightest and best written, Yeoh has the most memorable story. As much of an Yeoh stan as I am, my personal vote of all movies this year might actually be Banshees. The nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay are All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. Adapted Screenplay is yet another two-horse race and a tougher one. I think it's ultimately between Women Talking and All Quiet on the Western Front, though our third Best Picture nominated movie, Top Gun Maverick, could potentially steal if that movie receives a bunch of last-minute acclaim and ends up winning Best Picture, which I can see happening. It's in my head. Tom Cruise jetpacks atop the stage, dads rejoice, someone on film Twitter gets really angry and steals the D from the Hollywood sign. If we go by my earlier metric, Women Talking is the better written screenplay, but I can't tell which one has the most memorable story. Women Talking is dialogue-centric and easily has the most renowned screenplay. Adapted Screenplay is the only nomination other than Picture that Women Talking got, so voters must really like the screenplay. All Quiet on the Western Front, on the other hand, is the more beloved film, and it won far more nominations than Women Talking. Still, being a war movie, it is probably better known for its text, but nonetheless spurs some easy emotion points. I can't help but think back to Coda winning over Power of the Dog, even though, let's face it, Power of the Dog is probably the objectively better screenplay. I say this as someone who prefers Coda as a film, too. Power of the Dog was kind of a cold movie compared to Coda, more academic than emotional, and I can't help but wonder if Women Talking will be perceived as cold and All Quiet as emotional? I think I still have to go with Women Talking. It is just far more renowned in other award ceremonies, and I have to assume it got the Best Picture nod for some reason. I have the tendency to let my overthinkingness get the best of me, so I'll try to go with my gut. Women Talking would also have my vote. I swear, I usually go more unconventional, but the Oscars have been nominating some good stuff this year. I can't help but kind of agree with them so far. Best Director. The nominees are the Daniels from Everything Everywhere, Todd Field from Tar, Martin McDonagh from Banshees, Ruben Östlund from Triangle of Sadness, and Steven Spielberg from The Fabelmans. As I alluded to in my previous predictions video, the director's branch is one of the snootier, more arthouse snobby branches in the Academy. As of late, they tend to go for directors with a pristine, immaculate aesthetic, who make use of long takes and, to an extent, staged cinematography to create stills that feel at home on the walls of an art museum. This logic led me to initially go out on a limb and predict Charlotte Wells from Aftersun as a nomination, but in hindsight Ruben Östlund made a lot more sense as that fifth pick. I don't think he will win, though. I don't think it will be Steven Spielberg either. The Fabelmans is a personal story made by one of the greatest living directors of all time, but its strengths have more to do with narrative than it does style. Narrative might impress the cheerleaders, or the popcorn munchers, but not the art house snobs. If we are going with the film that fits this prescribed aesthetic the most, it would be Todd Field from Tar. I really think the director's branch would like this movie, and Tar surprised me by clinching nominations for cinematography and editing. I am aware this is not necessarily a one-on-one correlation. These categories also have their own branches, but those are stylistic nods. The filmmaking of Tar is being recognized in the Oscars more than other major awards bodies, and the campaign team could be putting more effort here into selling this movie. With that said, I am still predicting the Daniels. I'm not that crazy. Despite what I said earlier, they have been constantly given the trophy time after time again, and their DGA win, the biggest predictor of the Best Director Oscar, was the big push. Yeoh has a strong sense of style, albeit a highly unconventional one, more poppy than the director's branch has gone for in recent times. And the story of two directors building this highly iconic and unique movie from far less parts than their contemporaries is highly likely to impress. I think the Daniels are easy picks to win in most other award shows. and I think they are likelies to win here. But we are talking about the same director's branch who snubbed Denis. They're assholes. I'm scared. As for who I would personally choose, it is, without a doubt, Damien Chazelle for his work on Babylon. That movie is a behemoth. Best Picture. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. You cluster cluckers be hating on Babylon though. Me and my homies don't like that. Nitish and I will be reviewing all of these Best Picture nominees in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Of course, the most compelling stat to consider is that the Best Picture usually wins either director or one of the screenplay categories. So it stands to reason that one of these 3 movies is going to win. Well, 2 movies. Everything Everywhere All at Once and Women Talking. Let's also consider all of the second most likely options. Tar, Banshees, and All Quiet, which all have chances of stealing their respective categories. So that's 5 movies. Each of our 5 demographics will have their tastes reflected within this list of nominations, but a winner has to appeal to most, if not all of these 5 demographics. So let's exclude the spikes, or the films that appeal pretty much just to 1 or 2 demographics. Way of Water and Elvis are pretty exclusively popcorn muncher movies. Effect-heavy blockbusters without a lot of plot are gonna turn off quite a bit of people. Women Talking fits the messenger niche, but its intense themes will scare away popcorn munchers and olds. Tar caters primarily to the art house snobs. Triangle Sadness appeals to both messengers and art house snobs, but it lacks support from the others. And The Fabelman seems to appeal mostly to olds and cheerleaders. Top Gun Maverick is well renowned with olds and popcorn munchers, though it could have some cheerleader support too. That's not a bad package, but it's not in the running for the 3 precursor awards anyways, so whatever. All Quiet on the Western Front could steal adapted screenplay, and a foreign war movie could appeal to olds, art house snobs, and, to a lesser extent, popcorn munchers and messengers, but it's kind of a stretch on those latter 2. All Quiet is entertaining, but in a depressing and low-key traumatizing way, so not sure about them popcorn munchers and their virgin eyes. That leaves us with Banshees and Yeoh. Banshees appeals to a little bit of everybody, super promising, but I think Yeoh has the most amount of passion amongst all the other demographics, is going to win original screenplay and director, and benefits for being a feel-good flick. I know being the frontrunner isn't the best thing right now. We like spunky underdogs who can benefit in last-minute bursts of momentum, but honestly, Yeoh is the option that makes the most sense. The nominees for Best Cinematography are All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. Yeah, if you watched my previous predictions video, just do me a favor and skip this section. Thank you very much. I have no idea how Elvis got in here, and though I hear that Bardo is impressive, it feels kind of like an outsider pick. Though we love Roger Deakins in this house, Empire of Light also seems a bit like an outsider pick. I think if we assume that this award is going to go to a Best Picture nominated movie that is not Elvis, it is going to be between Tar and All Quiet on the Western Front. I think Tar is a really tempting pick, considering its impressively intricate, long-take clockwork-style sequences. Check out Nitish's review of the movie, in which he also roasts me. If you're into that kind of thing, you probably are. But Tar was not nominated for the ASC Awards, who are the cinematography branch's most significant correlate, which makes me wonder if something is up. I think the argument for Tar winning cinematography is rather similar to the argument for it winning director. You would think it fits, but unusually enough, it really hasn't so far with other award ceremonies. Barring some sort of last-minute surge, All Quiet on the Western Front has been getting the most love here, and I'm going to go with that. Maybe I'll get this one right. Oh sheesh, is it gonna be Elvis? My personal pick for cinematography is close between Babylon and Tar, though I do think I have to give the slight edge to Tar in its camera insanity. The nominees for Best Production Design are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. For Best Production Design, the designers branch tends to go for large-scale extravagance. Many big sets, the bigger and the manier, the better, which is tough in a year that is nearly all many and large sets. Except for The Fabelmans, so we can rule that one out. Bonus points if the nominee recreates a bunch of old Hollywood sets, because our Academy designers love seeing the work they studied, or may have even contributed to themselves, be represented on screen. That rules out our big blockbuster Avatar: Way of Water and our big war movie All Quiet on the Western Front, which probably could have won in another year. It was a good effort, fellas. Now it is between Elvis and Babylon. In my last video, I went with Elvis. I watched a behind-the-scenes video for both movies and was absolutely floored by the amount of work done on Elvis. So I figured, if there was that much put into the movie in addition to real-life Hollywood sets and Las Vegas stages, then it could beat Babylon if it had the proper campaign. The fact that now Elvis is nominated for Best Picture and Babylon is not should really help its chances, on paper, considering that Best Production Design has gone to a Best Picture nominated movie ever since the year 2013, with literally the director of Elvis's previous work, The Great Gatsby, being that latest exception. Just give it to Elvis, right? I'm really scared of Babylon, though. Though I was surprised by the work done on Elvis, Babylon is very impressive too. It simply was not a surprise, though, because the movie itself, with its long take sequences, really takes the time to show off its crazy sets during the movie. Meanwhile, Elvis is filled with frenetic cuts and lavish editing effects, which have the opposite effect of distracting from the real-life set work. Babylon also won the ADG, so it is tried and tested with active industry designers. So I guess we have to give it to Babylon, uh-oh! I'm going to default to Babylon, considering the strong ADG correlation and Babylon being the most Hollywoody film. It feels weird that non-Best Picture nominated Babylon would win 2 Oscars. Spoiler alert, it's going to win Original Score, while I am predicting several leading Best Picture contenders who come away with nothing. But quite frankly, Babylon should be winning a lot more Oscars than that. Humph. My personal pick for production design might be Babylon as well. The nominees for Best Visual Effects are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun: Maverick. Avatar: Way of Water just wins. It just wins. It just wins! I could talk about what the runner-up might be, sure, but who in their right mind is going to go to their super cool Academy voting booth or whatever they do, get to visual effects, see Avatar: Way of Water on there and go, nah, Black Panther though. I'm feeling Top Gun, actually. It's so cool what they did. It's almost felt like Tom Cruise was actually flying that plane, but the nominees for Best Sound are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun: Maverick. Oh wow, apparently I 5 for 5 this category in my latest predictions video, so I guess I might as well stoke the momentum and keep my predicted winner, Top Gun: Maverick. The sound branch tends to like the movies with the most sound, and though you could make a case for war movies like All Quiet on the Western Front providing that in spades, though All Quiet does not come across as quite as technologically ambitious as the Dunkirks and 1917s before it. Or you could make the case for musical biographies with a lot of music like Elvis, which I do believe could be a potential upset. I believe the kind of movie that typically has the best shot for this category are very well done blockbuster movies. We have 2 on this list, but Avatar is more of a visual movie, while Top Gun puts a lot more into both its visuals and its sound in order to immerse its audience. I think Best Sound should be going to Nope, but what do I know, apparently. The nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. Oh yeah, baby. If the BAFTAs got anything right this year, and oh boy, they really made some decisions. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once for Best Editing, and now that you mention it, I think the Critics' Choice awarded Yeoh for Best Editing too. Huh. I went against the sound and editing correlation because, though there was no way I could see Yeoh winning Best Sound, now we know it wasn't nominated, so it's not even possible anymore. I also could not see a very technically well done and still highly edited movie like this not taking the prize, because of some sort of correlation between two distinct branches that has likely just been chance up to this point. I stand by my assertions here too. Everything Everywhere is winning Best Film Editing at the Oscars. And if they don't, I'm going full Jobu Tupaki. I obviously think Everything Everywhere should be the one to win too. That's why I'm so worked up. Nah, I think Yeoh is mid actually. I just woke up and chose chaos. Best Original Score. The nominees for Best Original Score are All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans. I am predicting Babylon to win Best Original Score because it is one of the greatest film scores of all time, if not the greatest. A mind-blowing accomplishment in cinema music, in which it truly feels as though the music and the movie are intertwined into one. The score feels cinematic and the movie feels kind of musical. It seems as though important people agree with me so far. Babylon has been, appropriately, sweeping the award circuit without fail, and that trend will surely continue forever and ever.
And the BAFTA goes to All Quiet on the Western Front.
Don't you do it, fam, don't! Best Original Song. The nominees are Applause by Diane Warren from Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand from Lady Gaga from Top Gun Maverick, Lift Me Up by Rihanna from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Natu Natu from RRR, and This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we all think Natu Natu is going to win, right? It won the other precursors, there seems to be a lot of passion behind it, so it's good, right? Well, let us not forget that the music branch at the Oscars are capital B basic. They are walking into the Oscars booth with pumpkin spice lattes in their hand, or they would if it wasn't spring. They buy Maroon 5 on cassette for their car. They named their sons Jake. They are so normal, they have a 40% spawn rate at Route 1, and you know none of them would have understood that joke, that's how basic they are. RRR is a movie in which a guy punches a tiger. I don't think they're going to rep this movie. And the fact that it's been a hot minute since RRR has been in the spotlight only makes me more skeptical. Also, Natu Natu is kind of weird to listen to on its own. You really need to see the dancing too. I'm sorry, if I'm wrong, just know that I am not underestimating the movie, I am underestimating the Oscars. The music branch does like big names, however, and they are the most compelled by strong and emotional narratives. They also like popular people making popular songs in popular movies. I think Rihanna, who is fresh off of her halftime show and having recently announced her pregnancy, is fresh on their minds, and I think they deleted Natu Natu from their brains in order to free up those extra gigabytes in their brains for Lift Me Up. Natu Natu is a Rihanna song from Black Panther Wakanda Forever paying tribute to, or at the very least getting us to think about, Chadwick Boseman, the recently deceased and highly beloved performer. I think that's what they go with. Who would I give this award to instead? I never met nobody like you. Had friends that I had buddies. It's true, but they don't. Best Costume Design. The nominees are Babylon, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Okay, fine, the Academy did not like Babylon. I guess we just have to accept that. What else can I do? Elvis trends closer toward recreation than I would be comfortable with. I think they have some original stuff in there and it probably looks good, but even putting that into voters' mind might be not so much a red flag, but a yellow one maybe. I think of all the movies here that create new and striking costumes and do it with professional polish and spectacle, it is clearly Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which has been winning in so many other places too. Who do I think should win? I haven't seen Wakanda Forever, so I'd go with Babylon, but honestly, Wakanda Forever does seem legitimately deserving, so I can see myself being convinced. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale. We have established that this branch leans significantly more into makeup than hairstyling, and their favorite kind of makeup are prosthetics. Furthermore, their favorite kind of prosthetics are transformative prosthetics that are capable of making a performer look completely different from how they normally look. With that in mind, that whittles it down to Batman, Whale, and Elvis. Oh boy, it's the Best Actors race again. Do we give the Oscar for the makeup work done on Brendan Fraser in The Whale? The makeup work done on Austin Butler on Elvis, ignore Tom Hanks? Or the makeup work done on Colin Farrell from The Batman? I'm not doing another table. I think this could go in all sorts of directions, but when I look at a list of previous winners, I see The Eyes of Tammy Faye, a movie that transformed Jessica Chastain into televangelist Tammy Faye. I see Bombshell, a movie that is centered around transforming its leading ladies into notable figures from Fox News. I see Vice winning before that, which transforms Christian Bale into former VP Dick Cheney. I see Darkest Hour transforming Gary Oldman into Winston Churchill, and you get the picture. Occasionally you get a Suicide Squad or a Mad Max winning, but in those years they were not up against movies that transformed their performers into real famous people, so when in doubt, I'm going to look for that. Yes, I know Ma Rainey beat Mank, but I would not exactly call Herman J. Mankiewicz, writer of Citizen Kane, a famous person. Though the work on The Batman and The Whale has a chance of impressing most, I think the safest bet might be Elvis for the work they did to transform Austin Butler into Elvis Presley throughout various phases of his life. And heck, maybe they even like Tom Hanks. Maybe. I would personally give it to All Quiet on the Western Front out of any movie I've seen this year. It's legitimately impressive work, and the makeup is integral to telling this story. Sure, it's not transformative, but it's just as, if not more essential to making the movie work. The nominees for Best Animated Feature are Del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel Duchamp with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I gotta be honest, nothing has really changed here. It looks like Del Toro's Pinocchio is steamrolling its way into a victory. There's a small chance in my mind that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish manages to upset, however. I feel as though Last Wish is getting a whole lot of continued momentum and passion. My social media feeds are stuffed to the brim with Jack Horner stuff, while it honestly feels as though people have chilled about Pinocchio. Though I would have liked to see some major precursor wins, these are otherwise very good positions for sudden upsets. I think the animation community is the most passionate about Last Wish, but keep in mind everyone votes for Best Animated Feature now. Del Toro's Pinocchio is attached to a renowned filmmaker and is getting a large push from Netflix. I think it is the safest pony to bet on, and that's what we've been seeing so far. I would personally give it to Marcel Duchamp with Shoes On because my Shelley overlord compels me. Best Animated Short. The nominees for Best Animated Short are The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of and An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake and I Think I Believe It. Because I watched each of these films, I can finally have opinions. I unfortunately cannot have very strong predictions because I have no idea how this branch category works. I will kind of be learning this on the fly. I think it's between Boy, Mole, Fox, Horse, and Ice Merchants. Ice Merchants just feels like the kind of thing large voting bodies would go for if they saw all 5 of these shorts. Ice Merchants is emotionally resonant, artistically striking, and uncontroversial. Ice Merchants will make your mom cry. Furthermore, this short is more mature than its closest competition, and despite what you might expect, the Oscars actually tend to like that, often giving the award to a more mature and adult-leaning short in recent years, except when Disney or Pixar are in the game, but that is not the case this year. I do have some reservations about Boy Mole Fox Horse, on the other hand, like the fact that it is 30 minutes long, and the fact that it is very much for kids, but it is backed by Apple TV Plus, which could have just as much campaign power here as Disney or Pixar, but that is yet to be tested. I'm going to go with my gut and say Ice Merchants wins the Oscar. If you want to know what I think should win, check out my video ranking them. Trust me, these are actually very interesting. BT Debs, I was going to do this for all of the shorts categories, but then I ate a bad taco and I'm behind on videos. Best Documentary Feature. The nominees are All That Breathes, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. As we all know, the documentary branch is the most difficult to read of all of the Academy. I expected All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, easily the most critically acclaimed of these films, to get snubbed in a last-minute upset because it was the most critically acclaimed, because the branch is just like that, but it actually did what Hoop Dreams did not. So I am tempted to predict this documentary about the Sacklers, but then my eyes shift like one flaky boyfriend to Navalny, my original predicted winner in the event that All the Beauty gets snubbed. Navalny, an HBO documentary centered around Vladimir Putin's political rival, is thrilling and especially timely given Russia's atrocities in Ukraine. I tend to think of the documentary branch as the most snobbish of all branches, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case. The nominees have historically been harder to predict than the winners. Though they tend to snub the early frontrunners, they do often give the award to the most popular documentary amongst their nominations. Last year, that was Summer of Soul. You might remember that because Chris Rock got slapped when he tried to announce that. And the year before that was My Octopus Teacher. American Factory is the Netflix-sponsored, Obama-backed documentary that has bound to gather the most eyes amongst its fellow nominees. And before that, I think even those who do not follow documentary films have heard of Free Solo. Before that, Icarus. I did something new. I went to Google search trends and compared the popularity of All the Beauty and Navalny. As of now, Navalny wins pretty handily in that department, so I'm going to sort of see where this takes me and predict Navalny once again. I haven't seen enough documentaries to choose a winner for myself. Best International Film. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front from Germany, Argentina 1985 from Argentina, Close from Belgium, Yeoh from Poland, and A Quiet Girl from Ireland. Okay. Which one of these was nominated for Best Picture? Germany's All Quiet on the Western Front? So, that's your favorite. That's the one that's gonna win. It already won, pretty much. These are my updated winner predictions. Maybe I'll change my mind a little bit, but I have to commit at some point, so let's just hope the best film wins.